Welcome to Botanical Trails Through the Juniper Forest. I'm your host, Brian Heater. Each week, I'll have a different guest join me to explore a pair of interesting gins. We'll chat a little bit about the gin and the distilleries, throw in a bit of trivia, hopefully laugh a bit, and then we'll go off the beaten path. Although I say that this is a podcast about gin, really this is just an excuse for me to spend time with my friends. But that'll just be our secret. Okay, let's start exploring. Thanks for joining us for episode 4 of Botanical Trails. My guest today, Molly Murray. Molly, thanks for coming on.
Yeah!
Was that a cricket?
I had to cheer for myself. Nobody else will.
So I have been both excited and slightly anxious for this episode.
Okay.
Excited because I've been looking forward to just hanging out, but anxious because you're well-known not a fan of gin.
Yep, that is true. Not a fan.
So actually, how did you end up on this show?
I had to bribe.
Oh, okay. I heard my people talk to your people. So I've been just racking my brain for weeks about like what did I want to do for gins for you? So, and originally the idea I had actually months ago was you were going to do the episode I did with Sean. I was going to do Italian gins with you, because it was a slight cheat.
Mm-hmm. And I do like the Malfi Coast and those tonics.
And it was so that was a cheat, and I knew you sort of actually liked that one, and I was like, oh, I can do that. But then I thought more about it, and I'm like, no, I want to do something a little different. So
like a challenge. You got to challenge yourself a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is the episode that is unofficially called the one with my friend who doesn't like gin, so how am I going to make her like gin?
Yeah, or haters going to hate. Yeah. So I have actually decided to go with 2 of my favorite gins.
Is it the Coppola?
That's
the one that tastes like Cabernet?
Sort of.
Oh, okay.
But not exactly.
Okay.
But these are 2 of my favorite gins, but neither I would say is super juniper forward.
Okay.
And so our first gin is one that you are familiar with.
Okay.
Just because you've made me gin and tonics before.
Is it Death's Door?
No, it is Empress 1908.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that's why it's pretty.
Yes.
It's purple.
So now, I've done something a little special, a little different for this episode.
Okay.
I have made 2 separate versions of this gin and tonic.
Okay.
And I want you to actually try both of these.
Okay.
And whichever one you think you might like better, you can have that one during
Oh, you mean you made your drink is slightly different from my drink right now?
Exactly. Okay. So the one you have in your hand is the recipe I took from their website.
Okay.
And it is the Empress Gin with Mediterranean tonic and then a little rind of grapefruit, which is how they said is the best way to experience it.
Okay. So I have a question first about the Mediterranean tonic.
Yes.
Because when you say Mediterranean, I think of olives, which I also do not enjoy. I assume that this is not an olive tonic, but what makes it Mediterranean? Never. Yeah. So I'm confident it's not olive tonic, and that sounds disgusting, but what makes it Mediterranean?
That I don't know, but it is my favorite of the Fever Tree tonics.
Okay. It's a Fever Tree one.
It's a Fever Tree, yes. There is a little something to it. I mean, but I don't know. I guess I will do research
that's all right.
On that.
So mine's different. So can I try it?
Yeah, go ahead. Try that one.
And then you have to tell me how yours is different.
Yeah, and then I'll have you try that one, and then we'll see.
Okay.
So that's the way that they said it should be made. I've actually never...
It's good.
Quite that way.
It's good.
So this version... is what we stumbled upon with my sister Lori. Okay. That is the Fever Tree elderflower tonic with the Empress. I did not put any other garnishment in there, but the elder tree I feel goes well with those botanicals.
Yep, we're sticking with the elder tree.
All right.
Elderflower or elder tree, did you say?
It is elderflower.
Elderflower. Fever Tree elderflower.
The elderflower tonic. Okay. And we discovered that like a year ago.
I'm missing my grapefruit slice, though, so I'm going to need to take that back.
You can have that back.
Thanks. Okay.
All right. So
you killed a whole grapefruit for this slice?
Well, you get that as a parting gift.
Oh, I get a parting gift as a half sliced.
It's not even a slice. I took a little bit of the rind off. So you get a full grapefruit to enjoy this weekend. Congratulations.
Well, I get 95% of a grapefruit.
Like 99%.
Because, like, part of it's in my drink right now.
It's a very small... Once you look at that grapefruit, much like the one you kept as a pet for 6 weeks.
Yeah, let's talk about that, actually. So, you have what? Are you up to 6 listeners? Do you think?
No, I'm still...
7?
I'm positive I'm at 3.
3. Hi, Maki. Shout out to your mom.
Yes, the 3 listeners would be Darin, who...
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. He's forced to listen to it. He's the producer.
Right, he has to listen to it.
Okay.
In my imagination, I don't know, but I think there's a guy either somewhere on the East Coast, maybe in Europe, who really likes gin and just, like, tunes in.
Okay.
But that's, like, my imaginary listener.
Okay.
And then there's my mom, who always wanted me to be a talk show host.
Shout out.
I just had to teach her how a podcast works and what it is.
Okay, Mom, open your phone. Okay, so here's the story with the grapefruit, though, which is one of my favorites. So I think most people know you and I have been friends for a while, and we met at Amway when we both worked in recruiting. And so we used to go and get lunch together with the TA team. We'd walk up to the cafeteria, and a couple people would buy their lunch, a couple people would bring their lunch, and we'd have anywhere from 2 to 10 people at this table. And I went through periods of bringing my lunch versus being broke but still buying lunch because I was like, I don't want to cook. So then for a while, I brought in a grapefruit, and I wanted to be healthy. And I like grapefruits when they're sliced in half and then kind of quartered out, whatever you would say, and then covered in sugar. So really, I like sugar that tastes like grapefruit, like a grapefruit pixie stick.
So you wanted to eat healthy and to do that.
But I needed the sugar because a grapefruit is actually a little bitter, good, but bitter. And so, but then it's so much work to do that. So then I always saved it for last at lunch, and then I wouldn't eat it because it was too much work, and then I'd bring it back to my desk. And I think we joked that I ended up just keeping this grapefruit until it was weeks. And I'd just take the grapefruit for a walk up to Amici, the cafeteria.
Right. I mean, at one point it got so long we thought we might donate it to the R&D team for their labs. So
that's probably not a bad idea. So. But I felt really bad throwing that away. It was like losing something close to me. I know. Because I couldn't eat it. It got really bad.
Yeah, it lasted a pretty long time.
It really did. That's probably...
in that sterile office
preservatives or something. Yeah. Okay, anyway, that was my grapefruit story.
No, that's a good
This is good, though. I like it.
I'm glad you like it. All right. I feel that's a minor win.
That's a win.
For Botanical Trails. So here is the info on this gin and the distiller. So it is Empress 1908 Indigo Gin. I'll explain why. I'll explain why in a second. It is from Victoria Distillers up in British Columbia, Canada. They have been producing...
That's different from District of Columbia, though.
Correct. That would be in our country, where our capital
I just want to make sure I'm clear on which...
This would be on the west coast of Canada.
And that's different from Columbia, like Bogota. Yeah, okay.
Which is South America.
I didn't know how much trivia we were doing, so...
Let's see. Are you good at geography?
Oh, no.
Typically?
No.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. Okay, you go. Keep going.
But, so they've been producing spirits since around 2008. In 2016, they moved to where their current location is, which is on the waterfront in Sydney, British Columbia. So,
not Australia, though.
Correct. Although I have been to Sydney, Australia, which is kind of funny. So, but no.
Hawaii, maybe.
What? So, they distill a couple different things. They have gin, which I have found 3 versions of. They also make vodka, brandy, a chocolate liqueur, and something called Sydney Spiced, which they describe as an aromatic spirit.
Like mulled spices? I don't like that.
I don't know exactly what that would be.
The vodka sounds delicious, but I could always pass on a chocolate liqueur. I can't get into the chocolate liqueur.
Except in maybe
an espresso martini?
Yeah, something like that. You probably like that.
Yeah,
okay. So, the Empress 1908 Indigo Gin, it is a blue gin. So, when you see the gin in the bottle, it is blue. It's
more purple.
No, it's purple once you, mix it with something. No, I'd say it's more indigo. It's blue. It's definitely blue. I'll explain why in a second. It's blue. So... this gin the distillery says, was inspired by the legendary Fairmont Empress Hotel, which is found in Victoria, British Columbia. So, along with they use a total of 8 botanicals in this version of their gin. So, along with their traditional botanicals, they had 2 kind of special ones. They add a signature blend of black tea, which is served at the Empress Hotel.
Oh.
And butterfly pea blossom, which is an herb that has a natural indigo color, and that is what gives it
the pretty color,
the blue. So now when you were to mix this with a tonic, it will typically turn like purple or lavender, like pink or something just different. So it's naturally colored that way. So they don't add anything to color. It comes from just that one botanical. And over time, the indigo color will fade. So on their website, they say they recommend using the gin up within a year. I mean, the color would start to fade. It tastes fine, but the color would start to fade.
I've never known you to go more than a year with a gin. Or
depends
like
on the gin,
a month, maybe.
Yeah, so, and then they also have two other gins that I've not seen. They have a Empress 1908 cocktail gin, which is clear in color, and then they have an Empress 1908 oaken gin, which is matured in oak. And if you've seen like other gins that are kind of aged in like a whiskey barrel, they have kind of a yellowish hue to it, and that is what they had. So this gin has won at least 7 different medals in different like tasting competitions, including 2 golds and 1 double gold.
Wow.
So I have a quick story if you'd like to hear about how I discovered this gin, which is loosely tied to you because it was at your husband's bar.
Yeah.
So so you may remember the story, but let me think. This would have been September of 2021. I crashed my bike for the second time in 6 days.
I do remember that.
Yes. So the first crash was on a Sunday. It was just kind of a freak thing, but I sort of like hit a curb and fell, but luckily my face stopped the fall. So that was helpful. 6 days later, I'm out riding just some trails over by our zoo on the Kent trails there. And there had been like a frost or dew, and I was just going from like a paved trail to a wooden bridge, and I just didn't think about it. I really wasn't even going fast, but I didn't think about it. Turned, bike went out from under me. I just landed right on my right thigh. Ugh. It hurt like a mother. I also sort of like bent my derailleur. I was able to get home, so I go home, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to drop the bike off to get fixed. It's going to be good because it's going to probably take a couple weeks. I can get my head straight because I really had not crashed on my bike, and to do it twice in a week, less than a week was not fun. Yep. Also, you would think smashing your face would be the worst way to go. That second crash, I had a bruise that ran from the top of my hip down through the bottom of my knee.
That sounds terrible.
Hurt for months. Months. It was crazy. Anyhow, there's a little bike shop downtown, and I went down there to drop it off, and I go in, and the guy's like, yeah, I should have this done in like 20 minutes. And I was like, well, that's not what I wanted to hear. But
because now you got to go back out the next day and try again.
Well, I'm like, great, the bike will be back. And I'm like, well, now I just need to kill time. Well, your husband's bar is literally next door to you. I was at Moose Jaw. They have a little bike shop.
Oh, I didn't know they had a bike shop there.
It's not well known. Yeah. I'm sort of regretting telling people on this podcast, but the 3 listeners probably aren't big bikers, so I should be okay.
Yeah, you're probably fine.
But it's great if you need something quick. You can usually just walk right in, and they can kind of take care of it. So it's great. Anyhow, I go over to your bar and sit down. I'm watching like I think it was like Wisconsin Notre Dame game, and I order a gin and tonic, and then while I'm sitting there, I'm looking, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, is that a blue gin? And I asked one of your bartenders I was like, can I see that bottle? And I was like, well, I'm going to have 2 drinks now because I definitely have to try this.
Right?
And that was how I got introduced to this gin. They had actually just started selling it like that month. This distillery had gotten like the licensing to sell it in Michigan.
Oh, I love that.
So, yeah. So anyhow.
And now you did it. And shout out to House Rules, 404 Ionia.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
when the guy on the East Coast comes out to visit, you can
exactly go check it out. So I'm sure he can probably find this. This is a pretty, I think, fairly well-known gin.
Yeah, I saw it at Meijer the other day. So I know it's getting out there in distribution. But I know you've introduced a lot of people to this gin as well.
Yes.
Either at House Rules when we've been there or...
Yes, for my sabbatical party, at one point, if you were to look around, there were like 5 or 6 of us all having one of these.
Like went through a whole bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, just in regards to that party, how responsible do you feel for this podcast?
How responsible? You've told me, as your first guest, Jerry, was greatly responsible for it. But I will say that I think maybe he brought you, like, up the mountain to the cliff, and I kind of kicked you over the edge.
Well, no.
No?
Jerry got me going on gin.
Okay.
So, but you were the one, I would say, who almost sort of dared me into actually
hounded you
doing
to do it.
The podcast. Like, to the point where on that party invitation, you were like, bring a gin so he can do this podcast. And then people are like, what's this podcast? And then I'm like, oh, it's just kind of an idea. But now
it was like a joke for you.
Well, yeah, it was something. Yeah, it wasn't anything. I mean, I was sort of thinking about it, but I
kind of just wanted to make sure, though, that you didn't get, like, lazy on your sabbatical. Yeah, I want to make sure you, like, actually did something.
Yes, it just took a while to get going, but I definitely got to spend some time. But I mean, I ran quite a few of the initial, like, ideas past you, and so you were.
And now it's turned out quite well.
Well, the 3 listeners certainly.
I know they think so. That's good.
So, would you like to try our first round?
Yes, trivia. And I'm not really great at, I am not great at trivia. I actually generally abhor trivia because it makes me feel stupid. So, like, I refuse to play Trivial Pursuit. So I'm a little nervous, but I will say so far, out of the 4, I think I've gotten 3 out of the 4 that I've listened to. 2 for like Jerry and 2 for Sean. Yeah. And I got the Beefeater question right.
Yeah.
Which I was yelling at Spotify, Beefeater. It's a Beefeater. I went to London when I was 18. I thought this was the stupidest name ever at the guards in England.
Okay.
Were Beefeaters. And then that summer, the first summer after college, I started waiting tables, and that was before I knew anything about any sort of alcohol. But I do remember that we had a gin called Beefeater.
Yeah.
So I actually got that one right.
Well, good. So
I get partial credit.
No, and I think you've got a decent chance at this one. So, all right, are you ready?
Wait, did you pick out one that you thought I could get?
No, I just literally picked it off the top. I'm not spoiling you in any way.
Okay.
So, there are a variety of gins out there that contain a range of various botanicals. However, every gin should contain which one?
Juniper. The one that I don't like that tastes like fir tree and pine needles.
Ding, ding, ding. Juniper berries.
Yes.
You got it.
Berries. Okay.
Right.
So actually, I was half right because when I think of juniper, I think of the pine needles. Yeah. But you said it's a berry.
It's a berry, yeah. But,
yeah. So I get credit for it, though.
Yeah, that's what people, think, though. It tastes like kind of piney to some people.
Yeah, which Sean likes that, he said.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm here for the piney part. And I'm like, not me. You got to find something that's very bland and vodka tasting in order for me to like it.
So, but no, in order to be classified as gin, one of the botanicals has to be juniper.
Okay.
So.
No, I like it. But and this one is really good. I like this one. I think you've made me, the Malfi Coast one, and then Death's Door even. That was probably the very first gin that I had that I liked. And you made it here when we had a couple people over, I think.
Yep.
And I tried the gin and tonic, and that was the first time I went, that's pretty good.
Which is a little surprising because the Death's Door is a little bit more, kind of like a dry gin. It's a little more juniper forward. Maybe
I'm thinking of the Death's Door vodka. Maybe that's why I liked it so much.
Maybe. You've definitely had.
Okay, no, maybe that was it. But I've tried. When have I tried gin? And we've tried. We've
tried the Malfi, and then with you, you've also tried the Tanqueray, the Sevilla, which is like their orange. It's like infused with some orange. It's actually an orange colored gin.
And I do like the one that's on draft at Eastern Kill.
Yes, which is their barrel finished gin,
which I'm surprised I like.
And
that
their homemade tonic, and then also they do the rind of grapefruit. Yes, it is delicious. It's my favorite gin and tonic in town.
So far I'm a fan of this one. I liked it better with the elderflower than what was the first one.
Lori, my sister Lori, we made it I think at Christmas one year. She's like, let's try it with this, and it's just been our family favorite now for that. So
better than a shot of Dickel. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Is that a whiskey? Dickel whiskey?
Yeah, that's a whiskey for when we're playing the dice game.
Yeah, okay. No, thank you. I'll pass on that one.
So, great. Well, why don't we take a break, and then we will see what you think of gin number 2.
I love it. And if I don't like it, then I'll do another one of these, please.
I can do that. And we're back for trying our second gin. So, our second gin comes to us from Spain. It's called Alkkemist Gin. Give this one a try. Let me know what you think.
Well, my first impression is you told me that had orange in it, and this is clearly not an orange.
What are you talking about?
Well, it's like a clementine or a mandarin.
Okay. Like, aren't those oranges? Right. I literally had to ask the guy at the store today, is this a grapefruit, before I bought it.
Okay, this would be the smallest grapefruit you've ever seen. Grapefruits are big.
No, the grapefruit I bought.
Oh, you had to ask that guy. You had to ask the guy.
I had to make sure because they had like multiple fruits and one said grapefruit but the stickers didn't say it, just said like what company it was from.
Okay. We're going to put a pin in this for a second, but we're going to come back to it. Right. Okay, I'm going to try it.
Yep.
I like it.
Yes.
It's more ginny than the other one, or more something else.
Yeah, it's got more botanicals.
If you said this one is more Mediterranean, that I would have believed, because it feels more Europe-y.
Well, first of all, Spain is bordered on the Mediterranean, so...
Oh,
good
thank
job,
you.
boss.
I told you I wasn't very good at geography.
Yeah. Well, this is impressive.
Okay, well, we should cut that part out.
No, it's fine. I'll have Darin do it. No worries.
Okay, thanks, Darin.
So, all right. This gin thrives on mystery.
Ooh.
It is a brand which markets itself on secrets. So, the distillery... I don't know.
Nobody knows where it is.
No, Bupkis, I couldn't find anything.
I know.
I found zero, zilch.
There is a mysterious flavor, and I cannot place what it is, because it's really not juniper, I don't think.
No, they have 21 botanicals in this one. So, but I literally could not find anything on who actually distills and makes this gin. It is definitely a secret.
It tastes like bergamot.
I don't know. We would have to go and take a look.
Okay,
so, but I have.
Right. Do you know what bergamot is?
No,
or sandalwood? It's like a.
Oh, that might be one of them. And I have two that are sort of unique that I'll let you know about.
Okay.
But I believe it is somehow tied to a company called Innovation Premium Brands, but I don't know if they're the distiller.
That sounds American.
No, it's over there.
Okay.
Because
Europe.
they also have in Spain. Yes. Because they also do a vodka that's called Uncoded, but they also have that double K, like the bottle of Alkkemist does. So, but this, although I got slightly frustrated that I really couldn't find the distillery, this isn't the first time I've had that issue, and I really like this
When
gin.
they say mysterious, they're not joking.
They are not. So
how do we really know they're from Spain, though?
Because it says right on the bottle that it's imported from Spain, and they can't.
They can't lie.
Yeah, they can't lie. Okay. So one of the unique aspects that they talk about for this gin, they only distill it 12 times a year.
Oh.
Always during a full moon.
Oh.
Yes. So it is called a gin distilled by the light of the full moon.
That just made me like it even more. It sounds so mysterious.
So here's another reason I think you like it. Of the 21 botanicals that they have, well, not this one. Sea fennel is one, which I hadn't seen before.
Sea fennel? But I don't like regular fennel. I don't like land fennel.
Sea fennel. I just think this makes it healthy. So
healthy?
Healthy. Yeah.
Healthy.
Healthy. Yep. But this is why I think you might let it. Moscato grapes are which comes
so it
from
makes it a little
Moscato
sweeter.
Wine, which you may like. Yes. Okay. So,
but generally, I actually don't care for fennel because it tastes like the black licorice.
Yeah, well, there's 21 botanicals in here.
They covered it up well.
But I think that's why this one probably tastes maybe a little bit more complex.
Yeah, it is complex. That's a good way to put it.
So they have also won numerous awards since 2015, like gold or double golds. I think I counted like at least 7.
So after gold, why didn't they just go to like platinum?
I don't. Some people do.
Like, why would they go to double gold?
Miles, I don't know.
Let's go to 100 gold. How far are we gonna go?
I don't know. There's all these different There's a lot of different award places. Like certain cities have.
Who's making these decisions?
I think people who just want to have a lot of gin come into their city for a bit. So
you apply. Is that your next job? Is you're gonna apply to be a gin taster?
No, I'm not. I don't think my palate's rich enough for that.
I can. Yeah, I would definitely concur with that, and we're gonna go back to that in a second.
I would just be like, I like this. I don't like that.
Okay. Okay.
But another unique, interesting thing that I found is their bottle has won the German Design Award special in 2016. So it has a very sort of like unique bottle. There will be a picture on the Botanical Trails Instagram
Does it look
page.
like a boot? Das Boot?
No, it's kind of big, but it's got an interesting handle. I should have brought it in here. I meant to do that, so I apologize.
Did you see Beer Fest, though?
So, have I seen Das Boot?
No, Beer Fest. Wasn't that the name of the movie with Das Boot? And they have to like turn it at the end?
Okay, we're talking about two different...
I know, but you said it was German, then you said there was a boot.
Yeah, but Das Boot is a German movie about a submarine.
No, it's not that.
I don't think you're talking about that.
No, I'm not talking about that. Okay.
By the way, Das Boot is a very good movie. So,
your movie... Is that your
No,
it is
not.
Path?
It's not, nope. But we don't have to go to off the beaten path yet.
Yeah,
because you wanted
I'm not ready yet.
I think, take your pin out of something real quick.
Yeah, okay, so... We put the pin in it, and now we're taking it out like a grenade.
You're going to unpin it.
We're going to unpin it.
And now it's going to blow up.
It's going to blow up. So we were talking about how you had to ask the guy if it was a grapefruit, right?
I just wanted to make sure because I wanted to get the recipe right.
Yeah, it's hard to remember what a grapefruit looks like versus an orange. And obviously you threw a mandarin in as well, or a clementine into the mix.
First of all, my question was like, is that a grapefruit, not an orange? That I knew. There was another type of fruit
okay,
about the size of a grapefruit by this.
Okay.
It didn't have its own separate name.
Yeah.
Like, you know how they like name the produce?
Yeah.
There wasn't a name.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't want to get something wrong and like jack up the drink for you.
So would you say though, because I feel like you have introduced me to gins.
Yep.
Right? And I would say I have introduced you to fruits and vegetables beyond apples and the white cauliflower. Was that what you thought the broccoli was? The white cauliflower? Or was it green broccoli? Or green?
It was white cauliflower or green cauliflower, but it was actually broccoli.
Right. You said green cauliflower.
Yeah, green cauliflower.
Yeah, no. So I would say, though, that I have been... I think I've been a good influence on you to try new things.
I think...
And push you to your outside your comfort zone.
I think you like just taking pictures in the store and saying, guess what this is, and seeing if I could do better than your kids. And I would say 75% of the time, I lost.
Yes, that's accurate. I thought you were going to say you did better than my kids, and that's not accurate.
No, not at all. No.
They know their fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, I'm not really good at that.
Yeah.
So, hey, we all have our strengths.
We all have our strengths. Yours is not. But you'll try anything. Like, you'll try.
My produce knowledge rivals your geography knowledge.
That is rude and a fair statement. And let's not get into any sort of war history because I'm not going on that podcast.
Well, that would be, a very good, interesting on its own podcast, but you certainly wouldn't be a guest on that.
No, because it'd be boring. No one would listen to that. You'd only have one follower. Even your mom wouldn't listen to that.
Well, that's true, probably, so.
Okay.
All right. Did you want to do another round of gin trivia?
Yeah, but I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I can feel smart and superior. Because I have the answer already.
Well, I was going to say, that's like every day for you, isn't it? Here you go.
Yes, it is. Oh, okay. So I'm going to cover it up and see if I guess. Okay, here's the question.
Okay.
Oh, I think you'll get this. Okay. Oh, yeah, you'll get this. Which gemstone comprises part of the name of a brand of gin, which has a picture of Queen Victoria printed on its label?
So there's a brand of gin with Queen Victoria, but it's also
there's a gemstone on it. Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't think I would have got this.
I don't think I'm going to get this. I'm not really good with gemstones. That might rival my vegetable knowledge. Let me think.
And then if you need a hint.
Just, I might ask for a hint, but let me see if I can figure this out on my own for just a second. Let me ask you this. When you read so it's a name of a gin, correct? Mm-hmm. Like a brand?
Yep.
When you read that, did you recognize it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me think.
Yeah, so there's a gemstone that's part of the name.
Oh, I'm going to guess Bombay Sapphire.
That is right.
Yes.
Good job.
Ooh, thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
And I don't know if you would have known this about me, so my hint would have been useless, but I really like sapphires. So I don't know if that actually would have helped you.
What do you mean useless?
Well, if you didn't know that about me, then that would have been useless trivia. If I said I really like this type
that you
of
really
gemstone.
like it? I would have guessed that you like sapphire.
Yeah. No, I do. Even though my birthstone is an emerald. I'm not a big fan of emeralds. But, I mean, if you're going to give them to me for free, I'll take them. But,
my birthstone's something boring, too.
What is it?
I don't know.
Is it like a topaz or something?
It's some terrible color.
Like something...
In fact, when I got my class ring, which I never wore, which is stupid, I picked a different one because I didn't... I think I picked December because it was blue or something that I liked.
Oh my god, you picked a different gemstone?
Yeah, I was like, I don't want that.
I want the blue.
I was like, I hate that color.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny, actually.
Yeah.
What yours was like? What's that when it's a fake diamond? What do you call it? What's the term for that?
A fake diamond.
No, like a...
Oh, it's like zirconium.
Yeah, cubic zirconium was like your birthstone. Maybe if you came out on time, then you would have had a better birthstone.
Well, whatever June's would have been, yeah. Technically, I was like a month late.
Right, your poor mother.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, but she got me, so in the end, she wins.
Does she? It's TBD. We'll see how rich you can make her off of this. Actually... Maki's had it pretty good because whatever you and your siblings are doing, I need to figure out, what the trick is because for a long time, decades actually, I think, right? You have alternated taking your mom on a trip somewhere.
Yeah. So, yes, not to go too deep, but
not too deep.
Mom raised us as a single parent from when I was 6, and the girls were like 3, and Amy wasn't even 1. And during that time, she... went to college and got a degree, and
pretty amazing.
We all turned out pretty good. And so, as like a dividend to her, we've
taken her on a couple trips. I love that.
Like trips, and we're doing one this fall, which will be good.
Yeah, so, I'm trying to convince my kids that they need to do this, when they're older. But they are trying to tell me that because I want to spend time with them, I should pay for the trip.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah. So I'm just saying, what's the reward?
I don't know. See, you had your kids, though, a little bit later. Like, my mom started getting to go on these trips when she turned 50.
Oh, I'm 50 soon.
Well, a little ways
out. A couple years.
Unless those kids, like...
They're aging me emotionally. Does that count?
No, but I see it.
Okay. You can see the defeat in my eyes. That's fair.
So, okay. Time for...
Off the beaten, but you should have had a jingle.
A little jingle?
Off the beaten path, yeah.
I don't know, but it's my favorite part of the show. So, and you have elected to go first, so...
Hang on, first, I do... this is so... I'm really stunned by the complexity of this gin. It makes me sound snobby.
No, it makes you sound interesting.
Well, finally, I figured out what it is.
As someone we know, you sound sophisticated.
I am sophisticated. Is that what Jamie says? Jamie calls you sophisticated. I think that's her slighted way of calling you old.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so off the beaten path. And I've struggled with this because you and I did a practice round, so I already gave up when you were trying to figure out how the microphones worked.
When we were testing different spots before we found this super fancy studio.
Yeah, the studio. Yeah. It's like an art gallery, too.
It's like a hobby room.
Okay, so I already gave up one of my off the beaten paths. I kind of wasted it.
But no one else has heard.
That's okay. I'm not going to do it. So I've really waffled between, do I do a place or do I do a book? I don't know. What do I... So I've thought, what is something that I probably have experienced a lot in my life that someone my age, of which you are not, you're older than me, so you might be familiar with this, but...
Okay.
But I try to think, what is unique about me? And I think part of it was the upbringing. Now both my parents raised me, but my dad was very intentional about exposing me to things like old-time radio shows and a lot of just older stories that were on, audio that you would listen to. I haven't listened to this one, don't tell him that yet, but Cinnamon Bear is one that have you ever heard of that?
It's a radio show?
Yeah, it's like a radio show you listen to around Christmas time. So that's on our list.
It goes very well with toast, I've heard.
Cinnamon Bear?
Yeah.
And so, but the thing that he and I used to do together was watch serials. So I don't have a specific one other than maybe the Zorro. I remembered watching Zorro from the 40s, 50s, and the Batman was one of the ones that,
the early
that we
ones,
watched. Really early. So they're only 15 minutes long.
Yep.
And that's not to be confused with the serial that you eat, right? Which my kids would not know what a cereal is.
No, these would be like Serials.
Yep. So I remember we would watch 2 or 3 because they're only 15 minutes long, and we would laugh because at the end of each one is a cliffhanger. So always, sometimes literally, someone's coach and horse would go off of the cliff, and it was like, there's no way they survive that. And then when you go into the next one, it shows you the missing footage, which was, the people jumping out of the carriage right before it went off the cliff.
Yeah.
And so I just thought to myself, this is something that I thought, as I was thinking about saying it on here, that I should start exposing my children to that. Although they probably would not like it and or be bored. But I think it's a really interesting part of history because, motion pictures, moving.
Well, they're like mini movies.
Yeah, and you had to go like every week, right? And pay like a quarter for your popcorn.
Right, I mean, this was like before TV was like in every household. And so it was like part of the movie. So another like serials that I watched later, but that were very popular were the Three Stooges.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were originally like serials.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but like little comedy ones, and and then they would string like 3 of them together, and then you get like an hour show when we were older and it was on TV. But so you're saying like in general cereals would be,
that's my off the beaten path. So I think I would like to show my children, like, because I was doing some research, and I was looking at Zorro because that was one that I really remember.
Yep.
And it was like 15 episodes, and we could bang through that in a couple of weeks.
I think for Christmas I got you some cereals because you had mentioned that you and your dad loved them, and I think it's like on DVD. They might be at your cabin.
They might be. I'll have to look. But yeah, so
like on a rainy night, you guys could break it out when you can't do a campfire.
That would be nice. And then kind of along with that, but many decades later, came Rocky and Bullwinkle. And that is not a cereal, but my dad and I used to watch Rocky and Bullwinkle, and it was probably, we probably had 8 to 10 VHSs.
Okay.
And I don't know how many times we watched them, but we would watch them, and there were so many funny parts to Rocky and Bullwinkle because it was almost like a variety show. You had the Rocky and Bullwinkle story, you had the Natasha and Boris, you had my favorite was Fractured Fairy Tales. Or like the weird fairy tales. So, do you remember that? Did you ever watch that?
I watched some Rocky and Bullwinkle. What I could never figure out is why they were fighting Russian spies. Like, did they think Rocky and Bullwinkle were like U.S. spies or Canadian spies?
Maybe they were.
I doubt it.
Oh, and the Mountie, right? The Mountie would come in.
So, was this a Canadian show?
I don't know. That's a good question. But so my dad and I have always loved Bullwinkle. And one year for Christmas, I bought him a sweatshirt that says, "What's the matter, you?" Which was like the college that he went to. What's the matter, you?
You should have your kids dress up as those characters for Halloween one year.
I should, but I've been trying to get them to dress up like Bob's Burgers characters, and they're really fighting me on it. I told you.
Why? They love that show.
I know. We all love that show.
That's shocking.
That should have been my off the beaten path, except I think it's very popular.
Yeah.
So good. Okay. So I went, that's mine as a genre. Serials, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Zorro, Batman, and all those things that I'm nostalgic for that my dad shared with me, and I should probably share with my children.
That's a great one.
But probably won't.
Nice. Well,
because time.
It doesn't matter. They're not
interest.
They're not going to listen.
No, they won't listen to me. But okay, what's yours?
They're like, "Oh, Mom, you're on something." So I decided to tie something into one of our gins. So I went with a book.
So it's mysterious.
A little bit.
Okay.
But it's a book that is set in Spain.
Oh.
It is called...
Which is in Asia.
You're hilarious.
You're.
The book is called The Shadow of the Wind.
Okay.
So, I may have loaned this to you. I don't know if you've read it.
I think you did, but I don't think I read it.
No, which is fine. But it's...
Is this about a hidden library?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. I read like 2 chapters of it, but I haven't.
You got to get farther in.
Okay.
It's a really...
It was a little...
No, that's fine. It's a really well done book. It's set in... Barcelona, like in post-World War II Spain.
Okay.
So, let me try to summarize real quick. The gist of the story is there's a 10-year-old boy named Daniel. His father is a bookseller in Barcelona. His dad one night takes him to the Cemetery of Forgotten Books, where they basically like store books that could be forgotten in this way that they're never lost.
Okay.
And Daniel gets to pick out a book like for himself. So he picks out this book that in in the book he picks is called Shadow of the Wind.
Okay.
It is by this author named Julian Crax or something like that. Carrix, Julian Carrix, I think is the name. Daniel ends up loving this book, and then he wants to like track down anything like this guy has written before.
But it's been banned.
Well, not banned, but what is happening is someone is like destroying all of the works of this person, like burning them, sort of doing things that resemble a character like in the book. So the book is him trying to like figure out what's going on, who is this author, can I get this stuff? It's just a really well done book. There's a really good character. It's a sidekick in that book. His name is Fermin Romero de Torres.
Okay.
It's just a really good read. I do have to give props to the guest on the last episode, Brian Place. He's the one who introduced me to this. It's great. I loved this book. What's funny is after I read it, I then was at a bookstore, stumbled into someone I know who works at that bookstore, and she's like, "Oh, have you read anything good lately?" And I was like, "Oh, I just read The Shadow of the Wind." She's like, "Yeah, that's really good. It's part of that whole series." And I was like, "Oh, what?" And so it is actually part of the Cemetery of Forgotten book series. Okay. So there are 4 books. Shadow of the Wind was the first one. It was published in 2001.
Okay.
Followed by The Angel's Game in 2008, The Prisoner of Heaven in 2011, and The Labyrinth of the Spirits in 2016. Okay. The author, his name is Carlos Ruiz Zafran. He unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, but he described the books as you could read them actually in any order that you want.
I thought you said the author was someone else.
No. The character was Daniel. Is that where you're talking?
Oh, yeah. What's his last name?
Semper?
No, you said something else. That's okay.
I'm hearing about things. Furman? Yeah, I guess so. Okay. That's the first time I've mentioned the author today. So, okay. But the whole series is really well done. I would say this would be my recommendation. If you read that book, which I would read first, Shadow of the Wind, which was the first one published, I would read that one first. I would also read Labyrinth of the Spirits last.
You've read all 4 of them?
I have read all 4. Okay. I actually read, just the way I was able to get my hands on it, I read Shadow of the Wind first, but I read Labyrinth of the Spirits second, and then the other 2. In hindsight, I think I would have enjoyed the series more had I left Labyrinth of the Spirits for last. Okay. Not that you need to do it, and I enjoyed all of them, but I think, like, as a series, you could actually read them. My recommendation would be reading them in the order that they were published. Okay. But
is this your way of telling me I need to go back and read it?
No. I just was tying something in. I need to first
read dust off of the book jacket, and once I clear that off.
Yeah, but I would say it's one of those books, like, I think it's like a lot of, I have found is like a lot of books, series, movies in life that I enjoy. Okay. I have to have some patience to get through maybe the first part. Okay. But then once I do, the reward is completely, like, worth it.
All right. I will commit to you that I'm going to read that book this year.
Great. Okay. So, and that's the first book that I've recommended. And then I came across a quote that I thought maybe I'll end today's podcast on, unless there's something else you want to plug or anything.
There's so many things I want to say, but you know I never have a lack of opinion, so go ahead.
But the quote, I believe it's from George R.R. Martin, whoever the guy who wrote Game of Thrones. I haven't read any of those. But it's a quote attributed to him. I'll paraphrase it because I don't know exactly, but it's a person who can lead 1,000 lives, but a person who doesn't read only leads one.
I like that.
Yeah, and I was thinking about, like, I love to travel, but I can't travel all the time. But often if you can read books set in, like, other places, it at least gives you some interest and exposure to them.
Yeah.
So anyhow, this is the first book that I've recommended.
And you and I have shared a lot of books because we both really enjoy reading.
For sure.
Now, I would say that you tend toward a little more of the serious and or historical. Like, you like the historical stuff.
I like to, like, switch my thing. So I like to read, like, a novel, and then I'll read, like, a collection of short stories, and then I'll read, like, some nonfiction. Yeah. And so during my sabbatical, I used to, like, mix in a graphic novel, but what I tend to do is just read graphic novels, like, in the afternoon.
Well, just like with your late afternoon latte?
No, I don't have lattes in the afternoon, so I'll wait. I mean, sometimes.
Yeah.
But I usually like to, like, switch things up a bit. But you, I would say, are a much faster reader than I am. Like, there have been occasions where you and I've been like, hey, let's try this book.
Yeah.
And like in a couple days, you're like, that was really good. And I'm on chapter 3.
I don't know where that comes from, but I've always enjoyed reading. And this year I tried something new. It's completely different. And of course I saw it on the old FB, the old Facebook page, which is where I also get my geography news from. So,
of course, okay, that answers a lot.
So I said, hey, okay, of course it was January 1st. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be all motivated about things. And like, of course, I was not going to eat healthier, drink less, or work out. So I was like, okay, I need something else that will at least bring me joy. So I said, Facebook World, I posted and said, like, first 12 people to recommend a book to me that I haven't read, I'm going to read. I'm going to read those generally as the first 12 books of the year. And I have done that. It's the first time I've ever kind of stuck with something. But I have read probably 4 or 5 out of the 12 kind of recommended books. So I'll this one for the Baker's Dozen, the library one. What was it called? Midnight.
You're the worst.
The Midnight Book?
Called The Shadow of the Wind.
Oh, no, that was the book he picks up.
But that's also the name of this book.
Oh, I thought you said it wasn't. Oh, because the place they went was the cemetery of this. See, I can't keep up.
Where they went is
anyway. So I have probably gotten through 4 or 5 books, and I'm really enjoying it. I got a really diverse selection.
Are they all novels that were recommended?
They yes, but also would you count an autobiography or
no? That's
as a novel.
No, an autobiography is an autobiography.
Oh, well, okay. Well, that's I would still say
it was unaware of like different
No, it was like it was a big book written, so it was like a novel.
Are you talking about it comes with like pages together and there's a cover like any other book? No,
that's what, and it was more than like 200 pages. That's a novel.
It is. It's an autobiography. It is different.
Okay, smarty pants. Okay.
But it's so great
most of them are novels, to answer your question.
Okay.
And one of them was an autobiography.
Well, whose autobiography?
Oh, sorry. It was by Tyler Merritt, and it's called I Take My Coffee Black. And it was so interesting because most people who know me know that I have 2 daughters who are black. My 2 sons are white. And so I thought it would be really interesting. Actually, Jax, your friend, Jax, recommended that. Jacqueline Goodfellow recommended this book to me, and I listened to it on audio, which was read by the author.
Oh.
And it was really interesting to hear about his perspective as a black man in the U.S. growing up, and then also as the terrible, tragic events of 2019, 2021 have unfolded with just a mass.
All the bad stuff.
So it was really interesting to hear that perspective, and really, I would strongly recommend listening to it on audio.
Well, great. Well,
was that my second off the beaten path? Sorry.
No, we were just talking about books. See, this is the great thing about this. See, we go off the beaten path.
That's right. I love it.
You never know where it's going to go. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
It was fun. I loved it.
Well, it's great.
I was a little nervous because I wasn't sure.
I'm actually feeling this is like a win that you sort of like.
I liked both gins.
Yeah,
yes,
that's kind of a win.
And my parting gift is a Cabernet, right? Like you got that bottle of Coppola.
And the grapefruit.
And the 95% of the grapefruit, which I will walk around with for weeks and then throw in the trash.
That's perfect.
Okay, just like the old days.
All right. Well, we will see everyone again soon. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to subscribe to us on whichever platform you listen to your podcasts. Also, I want to take a quick minute to thank Darin VanderMolen for all of his help behind the scenes. Without him, this podcast probably wouldn't even exist, and his help is greatly appreciated. Hope you have a great week, and we will look forward to seeing you the next time we go down the botanical trails. This has been a Shits and Giggles production.